Good afternoon. We have some more breaking news in the Jay-Z Tony Buzbee feud that is swarming with attorney allegations going back and forth, Jay-Z making allegations, and now this afternoon I have to report to you that Texas personal injury lawyer Tony Buzbee added a new front to his feud with Jay-Z on Wednesday, accusing the rapper's company Roc Nation and Jay-Z's lawyers, Quinn Emanuel, of recruiting and paying former clients of Buzbee's to bring malpractice claims against Tony Buzbee's firm. Jay-Z and Buzbee are, of course, at odds over the allegations in New York federal court that Jay-Z had assaulted a 13-year-old girl alongside Sean Diddy Combs more than 20 years ago. Jay-Z he has denied these claims vehemently, and he has not been quiet. He has launched a counterattack back at Buzbee, accusing the lawyer of being on an ambulance chaser and being on a civil litigation spree and trying to exploit the situation that's happening with Sean Diddy Combs and his indictment in federal court. So essentially, Buzbee already has a pending Texas state court lawsuit claiming that Jay-Z's longtime law firm, Quinn Emanuel, has harassed his employees and clients in retribution for the New York case that he filed against Jay-Z. And Tony Buzbee has now upped the ante on these allegations on Wednesday, filing a new complaint in Texas on behalf of a former client that is alleging that Roc Nation, Quinn Emanuel, and attorney Marcy Croft of MJ Legal PA are recruiting and paying former clients for a litigation campaign against him. Quote, defendants have conspired to obstruct justice by engaging shadowy operatives to illegally seek out more than 24 current and former clients of the Buzbee law firm to convince those clients to bring frivolous claims against the Buzbee law firm, end quote, the lawsuit says. Defendant Roc Nation, which is Jay-Z's company, is financing the effort, says Buzbee. Its attorneys, Marcy Croft and Quinn Emanuel, are orchestrating the effort. In Wednesday's complaint, plaintiff Gerardo Garcia, a former Buzbee law firm client, alleges that he was approached by a private investigator claiming to work for the state of Texas. This investigator, whose name is Jessica Santiago, allegedly tried to convince Garcia to join a class action lawsuit that was accusing Buzbee of stealing from maritime injury clients. Garcia says that he recorded his call with Santiago, and a transcript of the call shows the investigator allegedly explaining that their class action suit would accuse Buzbee of taking injured seamen's checks and loaning the money back to clients with interest, claims that match two recent single plaintiff complaints filed in Louisiana federal court. Oh my gosh, friends, this is pretty serious. The suit also includes an affidavit from another former Buzbee client saying that she was offered $10,000 to bring litigation against the firm, and a transcript of investigators supposedly telling a different ex-client of Tony Buzbee's that they, quote, gave the kid $1,000 to start yesterday. Garcia's suit lodges claims against Roc Nation, which is Jay-Z's company, Quinn Emanuel, which is the law firm representing Jay-Z, Marcy Croft, which is an attorney at Quinn Emanuel, MJ Legal, and Santiago for illegal solicitation and civil conspiracy. It warns that more legal actions are coming down the pike. Quote, this is just one of multiple cases to be filed by plaintiffs who have been illegally solicited by investigators working as part of a cabal headquartered in New York City, Garcia's complaint said. Their behavior will have consequences both civilly and criminally. In a statement on Wednesday, Tony Buzbee said the conduct that is alleged in Garcia's lawsuit was specifically targeted at his firm so that they would not pursue cases related to the Diddy litigation. Because as you know, friends, as we've been covering on this channel, as we've been covering on this channel, Tony Buzbee's law firm represents or claims to represent almost 20 different plaintiffs who are alleging that they were in some way victimized by Sean Diddy Combs. So Tony Buzbee his law firm is at severe odds with not only Jay-Z and his law firm, but Sean Combs and his law firm. So I'm going to walk you through this pleading because I have this pleading. I have all of the attachments here queued up to show you, friends. They have all of the exhibits, including the transcript and the affidavit that is being referenced in this article. I also have the transcript of the audio phone call that transpired between one of Tony Buzbee's ex-clients, who's alleging that he was solicited by Quinn Emanuel, someone associated with them, a private investigator, to bring claims against Tony Buzbee. I also have a transcript between Geraldo Garcia and Jessica Santiago, the alleged investigator. And I also have the original complaint that was filed. So I have all of these filings here, and we're going to walk through them together because Jay-Z's lawyers are earning their fees, friends. They are earning those legal fees. They are hard at work. And Tony Buzbee is not taking this quietly. He's a former Marine. He has struck back. And look at these legal filings, friends. Look at all this briefing. We're going to walk through everything. I'm going to read through it with you and go over it. So basically, as has been reported in news articles, Buzbee said that the conduct that is alleged in Garcia's lawsuit was specifically targeted at his firm so that they would not pursue cases related to the Sean Diddy litigation. Basically, Buzbee is saying that they're trying to intimidate him to back down and not stand up on behalf of the victims who are allegedly victims of Sean Combs. Quote, these folks have stooped to a new low to try to intimidate the lawyers of the Buzbee law firm from doing their important work, Tony Buzbee said, but we will not be bullied or intimidated. The defendants overstepped. They got sloppy and stupidly got caught in their illegal scheme on tape. Tony Buzbee is pulling out the receipts, friends. He's saying, we caught you on tape because some of these clients who you were soliciting, these former clients, have recorded your investigators. I can't wait to see that, my friends. A spokesperson for Rock Nation, which is Jay-Z's company, said, dismissed the allegations as false. They're denying it. Tony Buzbee's baloney lawsuit against Rock Nation is nothing but another sham, the Rock Nation spokesperson said on Wednesday. It's a pathetic attempt to distract and deflect attention. This sideshow won't change the ultimate outcome, and true justice will be served soon. A Quinn Emanuel spokesperson said on Wednesday that Buzbee's frivolous lawsuit is an attempt to distract from his other frivolous lawsuits. We have no idea what you're talking about, Quinn Emanuel added. Oh, that's great. Everybody's just claiming not to know. Quote, Tony Buzbee has now conjured up fantastical allegations against me and my firm, well-known corruption fighters, in a desperate attempt to distract from his mounting legal woes, Marcy Croft said in her own statement. Marcy Croft, remember, is an attorney with Quinn Emanuel, which is the law firm that represents Jay-Z. We look forward to addressing these false allegations and having them dismissed. Santiago, the investigator, could not be immediately reached for comment Wednesday. Jay-Z also continued his counterattack against Buzbee on Wednesday, filing a motion to strike the New York federal court claims and enter an evidence preservation order. The motion doubled down on Jay-Z's allegations last week that his anonymous accuser's recent interview with NBC News reveals glaring inaccuracies and outright impossibilities in her story, slamming Buzbee for failing to properly vet the claims. Quote, this is what we talked about on my other live stream, friends. I'm going to link it in the show notes below. We talked about how this NBC article came out where this alleged anonymous victim, who will not reveal herself or her identity, this anonymous victim who has named Jay-Z as being an alleged co-actor with Sean Combs at a 2000 after party of the MTV Music Video Awards. She is saying that she is telling one thing to NBC News, according to Jay-Z, but then she's saying another thing in her complaint. So in her complaint, her story was that her father picked her up on the night she was allegedly assaulted by Jay-Z. However, she told NBC News that, according to NBC News, her father has no recollection of that. She also said that she was talking with Benji Madden the night of the assault, the alleged assault. But then Benji Madden was on tour. He was on tour, and he wasn't even at any after party for the MTV Music Video Awards within the United States. So he was overseas. So there's a lot of cracks in her story, according to Jay-Z. And he's saying, look, you guys are ruining my reputation. You're ruining my businesses. You're ruining my family life by coming after me and naming me in this public lawsuit. And you don't have evidence. He's saying, Tony Buzbee, you overstepped. You did not research your client's claim before you filed. You rushed into court and filed it. You didn't vet her claims. And under the federal rules of civil procedure, Rule 11, attorneys have an obligation to vet the claims and do a reasonable investigation to make sure that they are filing what's called meritorious claims. So we're going to look now at what has just been filed here. We're going to walk through this. I want to go through this legal brief that was just filed here. And friends, this is a very extensive brief. It is called Defendant Sean Carter's Memorandum of Law in support of his emergency motion for an order to show cause and an order for the preservation of evidence and to strike the complaint and dismissed Mr. Carter from the action that has been filed against him and Sean Diddy Combs in federal court. So we're going to look at this first opening paragraph. They say admissions by the plaintiff. So they're saying admissions by the plaintiff, who in this case is a Jane Doe. They call her Jane Doe plaintiff because she's anonymous. They won't reveal who she is. Admissions by the plaintiff and damning admissions by her own father in a December 13th revelatory NBC interview cast yet further doubt on a claim that was obviously false from the start. The timeline, location, and occurrence of events alleged in plaintiff's complaint are rendered impossible by these admissions. She claims her father picked her up after the assault. He ever taken that 5-hour trip. That's a big spelling error. That's a big typo his attorneys made. Come on, Jay-Z's attorneys. For all the money you're being paid, you can correct that typo. It was supposed to say he never took that 5-hour trip. Anyways, she claims she spoke with musician Benji Madden that night. He was not even in New York. She claims the assault took place at an after party hosted in a private residence. However, photos show Mr. Carter, Jay-Z, at an after party at a nightclub. When pressed by NBC about these inaccuracies, the plaintiff was forced to admit, I made some mistakes. I have made some mistakes. I may have made a mistake in identifying. Not all the faces there are so clear. And even that she was guessing about key details, including the time it took to reach the venue. What is more, the anonymous alleged victim of Jay-Z admits that she does not have a single corroborating witness over the last 24 years. Plaintiff's unsupported allegations crumble under scrutiny as the evidence and lack thereof reveals glaring inaccuracies and outright impossibilities in her story. Her account describes a jumbotron at the scene of the Music Video Awards, but according to New York Police Department sources and MTV producers, no such jumbotron existed. MTV applied for a permit to install one, but was denied. She references a house that supposedly fits the description of the location of the alleged assault, but no such house exists. And plaintiff's allegations became even more dubious when considering the nightclub evidence. Photos from the night in question show Mr. Combs and Ms. Jennifer Lopez at both Lotus and Twirl clubs in New York. So let me flip this to the next page so you can read along with me, friends. The next page says that the photos show that Sean Combs and Jennifer Lopez, this is a throwback to 2000 with Jennifer Lopez. I wonder if this is the MTV Music Awards where she wore that dress that everyone was talking about. I don't know. Anywho, let's go here. It says that pictures showed Combs and Jennifer Lopez at both Lotus and Twirl nightclubs in New York. NBC reported the photos separately show that Sean Carter, Jay-Z, was at Lotus following the VMAs. Taken together, the factual inconsistencies, timeline impossibilities, and the lack of corroborating evidence make plaintiff's allegations in the First Amendment complaint wholly unreliable. So when you see FAC, that is First Amendment complaint. Not only do these extraordinary inconsistencies undermine plaintiff's case, they highlight severe misconduct by her counsel, Anthony Buzbee. Remember, she's one of the plaintiffs represented by Mr. Buzbee. So they say that Tony Buzbee and the Buzbee law firm, they were unable to escape the foundational cracks in plaintiff's story laid bare by the NBC interview. Buzbee was forced to backpedal, repudiating the very allegations that he signed his name to in an attempt to deflect from his own fallacies or failures. He foisted blame on a different law firm, claiming that the case was, quote, vetted before it was sent to his firm. Well, guess what? That doesn't relieve you of your requirement, Tony Buzbee, to vet the claims. He is required before he signed his name to this federal pleading. He has a requirement to vet these claims. It doesn't matter if this case came to him from a different law firm initially. He is required to vet these claims. So I agree with Jay-Z's lawyers on that. And so concerned is Buzbee that he is now having his client sit for a polygraph. The takeaway is obvious. Buzbee failed to undertake a reasonable inquiry into the facts before filing the complaint, and then amending it to assert a claim against Mr. Carter, despite an affirmative duty to do so under Rule 11 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. But that was just one step in his cavalcade of misconduct. Ooh, I like that word, friends. Jay-Z's lawyers are going big. They're pulling out the dictionaries, guys. They said this was just one step in Tony Buzbee's cavalcade of misconduct. Though he has signed his name to pleadings and other documents filed in this case, Buzbee has declined to seek admission to this court, apparently seeking to circumvent this court's authority to enforce Rule 11. So let me break that down. So as lawyers, we have an obligation to comply with the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure when we are filing federal court. I'm an attorney. I have filed things in federal court. We are required to conduct a reasonable investigation into the facts alleged by our clients before we just rush in and file something. And that's to protect the court. That's to protect all parties involved, to make sure that we're bringing only meritorious claims. They're saying that Tony Buzbee didn't do that and that he went ahead and just rushed and filed this. And then, to even worse, he doubled down and refiled an amended complaint that now names Jay-Z as being an alleged co-defendant with Sean Diddy Combs. This has very serious implications for Jay-Z. So Buzbee's rule breaking also extends beyond this action. According to Jay-Z's lawyers, Buzbee has a long history of abusing the legal process and shirking ethical responsibilities. In a case in California Superior Court, for instance, Buzbee was admonished by the judge for violating pretrial rulings. And a federal court in Texas rejected a fee arrangement orchestrated by Buzbee and his firm because it violated public policy. Oh my heavens, that's pretty difficult to do, friends. So next, moving forward, let's look at this next page of this complaint. It says the fundamental inconsistencies in plaintiff's case revealed in the NBC interview, coupled with Buzbee's chronic inability to follow the rules, in this case and others, creates a substantial risk that Buzbee will destroy evidence that is damaging to his case, including evidence of his own misconduct, impairing the integrity of the judicial process. An order immediately mandating the preservation of all evidence relevant to this case is necessary to ensure that Jay-Z, Mr. Carter, has a full and fair opportunity to present his defense against plaintiff's fictitious claims. That Buzbee is not admitted to this court and thus is apparently attempting to avoid its disciplinary authority only underscores the pressing need for such an order. For the same reason, all of plaintiff's allegations about Mr. Carter are scandalous, warranting striking them from the First Amendment complaint under Civil Rule Procedure 12F. Now, this is really important, friends, because what he's saying is that they're claiming that the reason why Tony Buzbee has not sought to be admitted pro hoc vice into this federal court in New York is because they're claiming that he's intentionally trying to circumvent the judge's ability to sanction him for what he has done and for failing to properly research his claim against Jay-Z. Now, pro hoc eviction is when you practice in one state and you want to be admitted into a court in a different state, et cetera, et cetera. So he did not go through that process allegedly yet. And Quinn Emanuel, Jay-Z's lawyers, are calling him out. So let's look here at the factual background that they're alleging. They're saying that Buzbee filed his lawsuit on October 20th, 2024 against Mr. Combs and his associated businesses on behalf of an anonymous Jane Doe plaintiff. The initial complaint alleged that Mr. Combs, along with another unnamed male celebrity, assaulted plaintiff at an after party held at Mr. Combs' home following the Video Music Awards. Rather than name Mr. Carter as a defendant when the original complaint was filed, Tony Buzbee resorted to a campaign of extortion, seeking to extract an exorbitant sum in private mediation and threatening to go public with false and outrageous allegations that Jay-Z had assaulted multiple minors unless Jay-Z acquiesced. Well, guess what? Jay-Z did not acquiesce. He did not agree to meet privately and negotiate privately with Tony Buzbee. Instead, he refused. And it was only after this attempt to squeeze Jay-Z that Buzbee filed the First Amendment complaint that added Jay-Z as a defendant and alleged that he was the previously unnamed male celebrity. So I covered that on my channel as well when that all happened. Next, let's go to the next page. Jay-Z's lawyers claim that the First Amendment complaint alleges that on or around September 7, 2000, plaintiff attended an after party in New York City that was supposedly hosted by Mr. Combs at a large white residence with a gated U-shaped driveway and a large living room or foyer. At the after party, the First Amendment complaint alleges that plaintiff recognized many celebrities, which included people like Fred Durst, Benji Madden, and others. The First Amendment complaint then alleges that she was drugged and then assaulted by Mr. Combs. It also alleges that Mr. Carter, Jay-Z, was the previously unnamed male celebrity B, who also allegedly assaulted plaintiff. After the incident, plaintiff allegedly left the party and went to a gas station where she called her father, admitted that she had lied about her whereabouts, and asked him to pick her up. Plaintiff's father then purportedly arrived to pick her up shortly before dawn. Just 5 days before Buzbee filed the First Amendment complaint containing these scandalous allegations, NBC News published a story containing excerpts of interviews that its reporters held with plaintiff, who's the anonymous alleged victim, and her father, and presenting other information that severely undermines the merits of this lawsuit. For example, NBC reported the photos of Mr. Carter from the night of the purported assault show him at a nightclub in New York called Lotus, which has no resemblance to the white residence with a U-shaped driveway and a large living room that was described in plaintiff's complaint. Photos from that night also show that Mr. Combs and Mrs. Lopez, meaning Jennifer Lopez, attended parties at two nightclubs on the night in question, at Lotus and Twirl. Further, despite being sure she talked to Benji Madden at the after party about his tattoo of the Last Supper, because she has a religious background, so it's something to talk about, Mr. Madden was never there. Well, then that's a big inaccuracy, friend. That's a big glaring problem for this alleged victim, because she claims and is very certain that she spoke with Benji Madden. He was not even at the party. So, he did not attend the VMAs. He did not attend the purported after party and was not even in New York at the time. Instead, he was halfway across the country in the Midwest on tour with his band, Good Charlotte. Finally, even though the amended complaint alleges that plaintiff called her father to pick her up from a gas station following the assault, her father denied that happened. This denial was damning. In fact, he told NBC he was unaware of his daughter's assault allegation until the week that he was interviewed. NBC reported that he has no recollection whatsoever of picking up plaintiff on the night of the VMAs. And plaintiff and her father were living in Rochester at the time, which would have required her father to drive more than 5 hours from their home to pick her up on the night in question. an event that no father would forget if it actually had happened. That's what they're claiming. Her father admitted as much, telling NBC, I feel like I would remember that, and I don't. That's something that would definitely stick in my mind. Her father recalled one instance when he picked plaintiff up in the middle of the night, but he said it was a local drive in Rochester. Moreover, Tony Buzbee effectively admitted to NBC that his firm failed to conduct any investigation into the merits of plaintiff's claims prior to filing extraordinary allegations of child assault against Jay-Z. Buzbee seems to shirk his Rule 11 obligations and foist blame onto another law firm for the glaring inconsistencies exposed by the NBC report. Rather than conducting his own due diligence to vet his client's claims, Buzbee merely relied on the purported vesting of another firm, telling NBC, Jane Doe's case was referred to our firm by another who vetted it prior to sending it to us. But no one from the other firm signed the pleadings in this case. Buzbee did. His failure to investigate the claim violated Rule 11. Further, as explained in the letter that Jay-Z filed with this court on December 13th, which we did go over, friends, in my other video. You can check out my other live stream on that. In the more than 8 weeks since he signed the initial complaint in this case, Buzbee has failed to seek admission to this court pro hoc vice in an evident attempt to avoid the power of this court to enforce Rule 11 and other rules against him. Well, that I disagree with that in a sense, because the court would still, I feel that the court still has the ability to sanction him, even if he's not admitted pro hoc vice, because he did sign a pleading and subjected himself to the jurisdiction of the court. So bottom line is, I find that argument less persuasive. Next, Buzbee's gross violation of Rule 11 in this case and his failure to comply with this court's admission requirements are just the most recent examples in a long line of litigation misconduct, according to Quinn Emanuel, Jay-Z's lawyers. For instance, Tony Buzbee and his firm were recently accused of violating the rules of professional conduct by 3 former clients for his deceitful conduct. What is more, according to a former client of Buzbee, the Buzbee law firm dropped her as a client after she resisted the firm's efforts to pressure her to adopt a false narrative of her experiences as a victim of trafficking by celebrities unrelated to this case. Specifically, the Buzbee law firm pressed her to confirm that she was drugged, held down, pushed, and physically assaulted, all false details. Moreover, she was repeatedly asked for a connection to Mr. Combs, though she made clear her case was unrelated to him. And already in this case, he violated Rule 3.4e of the New York Rules of Professional Conduct that prohibits attorneys from threatening to present criminal charges solely to obtain an advantage in a civil matter by making such threats to Mr. Carter, Jay-Z, to extract a settlement prior to bringing frivolous claims against him in the First Amendment complaint. Tony Buzbee also has a track record of employing suspect tactics to gain an unfair advantage in the course of litigation, says Jay-Z's lawyers. I think the kids nowadays say that's sus. He's pretty sus. Because Tony Buzbee frequently serves clients on a contingency fee arrangement, he has a personal stake in the outcome of his case and has demonstrated his creativity in stepping over the line to protect his own interests. And that's not what an attorney is to do. An attorney is to protect the interests of his clients, not his own interests. So, next. Jay-Z's lawyers say that in one notable case, a federal court invalidated a referral agreement between Buzbee and a known fact witness in the case as invalid as a matter of public policy, which entitled the witness to 15% of the gross attorney's fees awarded if Buzbee's client was victorious. OMG. Yeah, that's not permissible. In another unscrupulous tactic, in order to get a case heard in a favorable venue, the Buzbee firm submitted venue pleadings and a client affidavit characterized at best incorrect and at worst fraudulent. After the defendant's counsel notified Buzbee's firm that his clients misrepresented facts that affected the trial court's venue determination, Buzbee unilaterally non-suited the case and refiled a substantially similar case in another favorable venue. Oh, Madonna, friends. So I'm not sitting as judge and jury here. I'm just saying this is what Jay-Z's lawyers are claiming against Tony Buzbee. We don't know if these allegations are necessarily all true, but this is what Jay-Z's lawyers have put to writing in this court filing against Tony Buzbee. According to Jay-Z's lawyers, Buzbee has demonstrated a lack of respect for and willingness to violate judicial order. In one case, Buzbee allegedly baselessly accused former baseball player Scott Erickson of being to blame for a murder while representing criminal defendant Rebecca Grossman. He falsely claimed Erickson was the driver who hit and killed two young boys and was hiding in the bushes after the fatal act, despite no evidence to support this assertion. Prosecutors accused Buzbee and his team of unethical behavior, stating they were making a mockery of the justice system. The judge rebuked Buzbee, declaring, "We cannot have the defense violating pretrial rulings," and exposed the jury to evidence that contradicts those rulings. The judge reprimanded Buzbee for his conduct, stating that if it continued, the court would consider financially sanctioning Buzbee and reporting him to the state bar. Yikey, yikey. All right, so here we go. We've got the legal background now. We've got the legal background setting forth what the court is required to adhere to in terms of standards. All participants of a lawsuit have an unassailable duty to preserve evidence that might be useful to an adversary. So basically, they're saying that the lawyers here, Buzbee, have an obligation not to destroy evidence. That would be called spoliation of evidence. They have a lawyer to preserve things, even if those things could be harmful to them, if they are relevant to the case. So essentially, the lawyers are setting forth the legal standard for the issuance of a preservation order. They're asking the court to enter a preservation order here and require Buzbee to preserve evidence that is potentially relevant to this case. So let's look at their arguments. We're going to go quickly through their arguments here, friends. The first argument is that Sean Carter faces a significant risk that Buzbee will destroy relevant evidence. They're essentially saying that his conduct has been reprehensible. He has allegedly conducted unethical activities. They feel that he's unscrupulous, that he did not properly research his claims against Jay-Z before the anonymous victim that he represents filed these claims against Jay-Z. So they're saying, listen, we have reason to believe that he would destroy evidence, and we want the court to put an order in place stopping that from happening. So next, argument B, absent a preservation order, Mr. Carter's right to conduct full discovery will be irreparably harmed. They're basically citing the legal standard for discovery. They're saying that the burden on Buzbee to preserve evidence is negligible. So they're going through the legal test here, friends, for why they need this preservation order. They are also asking the court on the next page to strike the complaint as regards to Jay-Z. Because remember, Tony Buzbee filed an amended complaint in that New York federal court that names Jay-Z and names Sean Diddy Combs. So Jay-Z is saying, you should never file it against me. You didn't have merit to do so. You didn't do your research, Tony Buzbee, and now I want to be removed. I want this complaint to be stricken. It's ruining my reputation. Basically here he says the court should strike the complaint against Mr. Carter. It says the revelations from the NBC interview not only demonstrate a substantial risk that discovery will be destroyed, but also that the First Amendment complaint should be stricken under Rule 12F1. The amended complaint alleges that Mr. Carter committed heinous acts, but as detailed above, these allegations are baseless and fatally contradicted by plaintiffs and her father's statements to NBC. So basically they're saying her story the math ain't mapping. The math ain't mathing, as the kids would say. Her story does not add up. Jay-Z's lawyers are saying this person, this anonymous victim, is claiming that Jay-Z assaulted her at an after party that occurred at a home, whereas Sean Carter was photographed at a nightclub. They're saying that she says that her father came and picked her up in her complaint, but her father claims to NBC that he never did that he has no recollection of ever picking her up. In her amended complaint that was filed by Tony Buzbee, the anonymous victim claims that she spoke with Benji Madden of Good Charlotte at the after party where she was allegedly assaulted by Jay-Z. But Benji Madden was on tour. He was never at that party. So these are some huge glaring cracks in the foundation of her allegations. And so Jay-Z's lawyers have filed this with the court saying, we want the complaint against Mr. Carter stricken. It should never have been filed. Tony Buzbee failed to conduct a reasonable investigation into the truthfulness of the facts asserted by his plaintiff that violates Federal Rule of Civil Procedure Rule 11. And Jay-Z's attorneys are going hard to the paint that they want the court to strike this complaint as against Jay-Z. So then for all of these reasons, they say that a preservation order is needed to ensure the plaintiff and her counsel, Buzbee, and the Buzbee law firm preserve all evidence relevant to this case. And since the NBC interview revealed the meritless nature of the allegations against Mr. Carter, the amended complaint should be stricken under Rule 12F. As such, Mr. Carter respectfully requests that the court issue the attached proposed order to show cause, ordering Buzbee and his firm to show cause as to why a preservation order should not issue and why the amended complaint should not be stricken and why Mr. Carter should not be dismissed from this action. And they want to set a hearing on this motion for Thursday, December 19th. All right, friends. So that's today. So, friends, when they filed this, I'm sorry, no, that was yesterday. When they filed this on Wednesday, they said we want an immediate hearing. And there has not been news to date about what occurred or if that hearing occurred. Essentially, friends, they're saying you need to give us a preservation order that would prevent Mr. Buzbee and his law firm from destroying relevant evidence. You also need to dismiss Sean Carter from this case. That is what Jay-Z's attorneys are saying. And friends, this is gonna, we are watching this heat up. They have attached exhibits that are a recorded phone call. I'm gonna pull this up here. This is an affidavit of Shannon Champagne. This here, they have attached a transcript of an audio recording telephonic conversation that allegedly transpired between a former client of Buzbee's law firm and a private investigator who allegedly was trying to solicit that person. They have also attached a transcript between Gerard Garcia and Jessica Santiago, the private investigator who is unavailable for comment. So, friends, I am going to walk, when I come back live later on this evening, I'm going to walk through all of the exhibits and go into greater detail on this case. But we went briefly through the filing that has just been filed this week in this case, where Sean Carter is going hard to the paint, asking the court to dismiss him from this lawsuit, to strike the complaint against him. They're really going after Tony Buzbee, the lawyer, and they're saying that he behaved unethically. So, guys, subscribe to the channel because I come to you live every day with daily live streams on the cases that I'm covering in celebrity legal news. I'm covering the Sean Diddy Combs case, both the federal criminal prosecution and the slew of civil suits that have come out of the woodworks against him. If you subscribe, you'll be notified of every time I go live. I also am covering the Vanderpump Rules litigation that's going on. Tom Sandoval, as you know, has decided to represent himself, which I'm not quite sure is a great idea, my friends, if we know Tom Sandoval. But we've also covered the trademark litigation, Lala Kent, where she has sued the New Jersey LLC, Cosmesi LLC, for violation of her trademark, Give Them a Lala. I'm covering that. I've covered that on live streams. Go through the playlist on my channel page. Go through the videos, and you'll see all the videos I've done about the Jay-Z legal battle and his attorneys against Tony Buzbee and the anonymous victims attorneys. I've done a number of live streams and also a number of videos on that. So, friends, I'm going to be coming back to you live again this evening. I will be here live to go through in greater detail the filings that have come out this week in the Jay-Z, Sean Diddy Combs, Tony Buzbee legal saga. Subscribe to the channel. Help us support the channel. We are a new channel. We are growing. We are also doing a giveaway, friends. So if you go to the channel page, you can click on the giveaway video. It has a link to the giveaway in the show description. And you can go ahead and enter our giveaway because in celebration, we have our first 40,000 views on this channel in just launching. We launched just a couple weeks ago. We come to you every day live, and you can take part in our giveaway to win an Amazon gift card at the end of the month. And so go ahead and click on our giveaway video. It will take you out to the giveaway link. because we want to celebrate with you all. You know, we've gained a substantial number of views in a very short period of time, already 40,000 views on this young channel. We just launched 2 weeks ago. We are so proud, and we couldn't do it without you, friends. Thank you so much for all of your comments. I try to respond to every single one of them. Thank you sincerely for sharing your opinions and taking your time. It's wonderful to converse with you guys about all these amazing legal things. Maybe not so amazing for Sean Diddy Combs and Jay-Z right now, but for all of these really important legal battles that are going on. The way that these court cases come out is going to have an impact in the legal world. So thank you guys for being a part of it. Subscribe to the channel to show your support. And I look forward to seeing you guys later on tonight, where I will be showing you, taking you inside, giving you the inside scoop on real legal filings that are direct from the court that have been filed in this Jay-Z, Sean Diddy legal saga. I love you all, friends. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you later on tonight on my live. Bye-bye now.